This is Colin O'Keefe here for LXBN TV. In a landmark decision one people across the country have been waiting for, the Supreme Court ruled same-sex marriage is a constitutional right, legalizing it across the country. To discuss, I'm excited to be joined by Dallas attorney Michelle O'Neill, author of the Gay and Lesbian Family Law in Texas blog. Michelle, I know you've been very busy and you've also already spoken to LXBN reporter Zosha Millman, but my question is, what now? What's on your plate, for example, as a family law attorney?
So I think that the Supreme Court's decision is really just the starting point for us in exploring LGBT rights, especially here in Texas. From here, there's lots of questions that come next. Like one of the questions we've been debating today on some of our Facebook forums is what happens to birth certificates for same-sex parent adoptions? What happens to couples who may have been sort of common law married prior to the Supreme Court ruling? Does common law marriage now carry through the Supreme Court ruling this week? So, I think that this raises a whole lot of questions for people as to how this applies to them and their lives.
Absolutely. There's a lot to be worked out. And then, of course, you obviously reside there in Texas, it's a very hot button issue in conservative states. How do you see this playing out in places like Texas with lawmakers and potentially judges who are very against the idea of same-sex marriage?
Yeah, we've been seeing that just on a day-to-day, almost hour-by-hour basis the last couple of days because of the clerk's offices that some are refusing to grant licenses. And I think that we're seeing today that those clerk's offices are finally kind of coming on board with everything. The Attorney General here issued an opinion saying that if a particular clerk had a religious objection, he or she could object and pass it to the next clerk as long as somebody in that office would issue the license. So I think that everybody's coming on board and kind of wrapping their heads around how this is going to work. From here, there's going to be a question because our statutes are all have gender bias in them. And so we're going to have to undertake a process in the legislative process of, correcting our statutory language and to accommodate the ruling. So in Texas, we have our legislature meets every 2 years and they just finished. So there's a question of whether they're going to call a special session and how that special session will be approached especially from the conservatives' viewpoint that are somewhat opposed to this.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. Of course, this is a momentous ruling, but as you discussed, nationally, and then of course, just in states like Texas, there's a lot that still needs to be taken care of now. So we'll have to
absolutely
track this for sure. Once again, that was Michelle O'Neill. And to track these developments that we talk about, be sure to visit LGBTTexasFamilyLaw.com. Thank you for joining me today, Michelle.
Thank you.